Hey everybody, so I kind of wanted to talk to you about something that I've been seeing online recently, and before I even say what I'm going to say, let me go ahead and say that look, if you want to hate this movie, that is okay. I'm not under any delusion that everybody has to love this movie, especially the critics. I mean, I think even Anna Todd knew that yeah, critics were going to hate this thing. And I even made God knows how many videos saying like, "Oh yeah, critics are going to, trash this film." But the problem that I have, and the problem where I will kind of step in and say, okay, this you knock this shit off, is when you start sniping at the fans, when you start slandering the fans, when you start pretty much how can I put this when you start demeaning the fans of the movie or the people who might, potentially enjoy the movie, then I got a problem. When you start snarking or sniping, at a particular scene in this movie where they dare to show consent, because that's actually something that I've seen in more than a couple of reviews, where they kind of snipe at the film for this one scene when Hardin and Tessa, I mean, spoiler, although this is not really a spoiler, when Hardin and Tessa finally have sex, it's pretty much filled with him, asking repeatedly, is this okay? Are you okay? Do you want to continue? And to me, I mean, when I first saw that scene, my mouth dropped. And then in the back of my head, I was thinking, like, why am I so shocked about this? This is just showing basic consent. So why am I so shocked about this? Because films tend to not focus on that. Films tend to not show that part of sex scenes when they actually do show sex scenes in films. They tend to not show that part. They tend to just show the two characters falling into bed and then the sex starts. So yeah, I got to applaud the film for even daring. I mean, in a teen film, because you just see it so rarely nowadays. When you really shouldn't. For even for daring to even show basic consent, to pretty much let me quote this thing here. When the virginal Tessa finally decides that she's ready to take things to another level, the resulting encounter seems to have been scripted for a university sexual assault prevention program. I want you, Tessa breathlessly declares. Are you sure? Hardin carefully asks. He doesn't take any chances. Do you want me to stop? He queries, before ripping open a condom wrapper. Open parentheses, if After doesn't do well in theaters, at least Betsy DeVos can screen it for Congress. Again, dude, are you really going to snipe at this film or snark at this film for daring to show basic consent? Especially after in this same review, you basically your bottom line, your headline here is, if your favorite band is still One Direction, this is the film for you. And then, as if your audience cannot even read, as if your readers cannot even tell that you're a guy, because again, your name is in the your name is in the byline. He kind of opens up the review with, in case you haven't guessed from the byline or the fact that this review is appearing in a prominent publication and not as a YouTube video, let me state the obvious. I am not a teenage girl. Was that paragraph really needed? To start sniping at really? I mean, do you not see an issue there? Cause look, I'm a guy and I kind of see an issue there. So I kind of want to, leave it to you guys to kind of figure out, like, is there an issue there? But yeah, like that sentence is not really called for. As if somehow just because you're appearing in a prominent publication, because I've known prominent publications to hire teenagers to work for them, like in internships and like whatever. But I mean, I've heard of publications doing that. I can't think of the names off the top of my head, but I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. But I mean, I've heard of that before. So, again, it's this snarky attitude of, in case you haven't guessed from the byline or the fact that this review is appearing in a prominent publication and not as a YouTube video, let me state the obvious, I am not a teenage girl. Huh. Like, was that line really needed at all? And then he pretty much goes on to admit that that biological reality theoretically makes me less than qualified to review the screen adaptation of Anna Todd's novel, part of a series of fan fiction books inspired by the band One Direction and its member Harry Styles in particular. But I feel confident that even if I were to be magically transformed, because again, I feel like I gotta give this guy, just in case anybody finds this review and tries to say, well, I didn't give you the entire story here, so then I got to give you this part too. But I feel confident that even if I were to be magically transformed into the target demographic, I would still find After to be a cliched, mediocre affair. Come back Twilight, all is forgiven. So yes, in this same article where he pretty much snipes at the fact that this film even dares to show basic consent, yeah, okay, screw him for that, but no, this is the kicker, because this is where you pretty much just, again, you just snipe at your audience, or you snipe at audiences who would, again, dare to like this, and you even, when you write reviews like this, you tend to open up the floodgates open up the easy attacks on the fan base, because again, you can find that in the comment sections of many negative reviews where people start, really going after, especially female-aimed films. They really start going after how they, how stupid women are. Like, how dare women even dare to like this. But he pretty much finishes off this whole thing with, only the most naive audience members will find the climactic revelation about Tessa and Hardin's relationship shocking, and only they will swoon at the inevitable happy ending. Again, I mean, you can find review after review of this, and that's my problem, is that if you want to sit here and you want to give legitimate criticisms on this film, that is okay. Because again, even I kind of have, more than a few criticisms about this. I loved it more the second time, or I liked it more the second time that I saw it, but I do have legitimate criticisms about this film. So if you want to say your legitimate criticisms, that's fine. But when you step over the line, and it becomes less about criticizing the film and more about slandering the audience that this is aimed for, then I start to have a problem. And like I said in many a video, this time I'm not going to accept it. This time I'm not going to sit here and be quiet about this. This time I'm actually going to call out the people who dare to do this. Because again, I don't want this to turn into another 50 Shades. Because again, let me go ahead and tell you this. Any critic, or especially male critic, who sits here and tells you that this is like the worst thing ever created, let me tell you something. This is not even the worst film that I've seen all week. Because again, remember, I've seen The Haunting of Sharon Tate and Hellboy this week too. So yeah, as long as those two films exist, this film will never come close to the worst film of the year. Because this is actually a pretty decent film. And another thing, I've seen reviews that have snarked at Hero Finds Tiffin, basically saying that, you should drop the Fines from your name because you're insulting your uncles. Because he is I think he is related. I think he's the nephew of Joseph Fiennes and Ray Fiennes. I mean, two fantastic actors. But again, I would never snipe at him like that. Again, when you go into for the personal attacks, when you go into the attacks about the fans, that's where I start to have an issue with you. That's where I start to have a problem, and that's where I will continue to call you out when I actually see this. So jump down to the comment section below. Let me know what you think. As always, thank you so much for watching. Remember as always to click that like button. Remember to subscribe. I'll see you later. Afternators. Take care, y'all.